Welcome back to another video. Today it's the Bradford City v Colchester United match preview. Let me know your thoughts going into a game in the comments down below, your score predictions, and what do you think after the Accrington Stanley win on Tuesday night. A lot of meltdown again on hashtag BCFC or just all over the fan base. A lot of we're in chaos as a fan base, I think, at the minute. Hughes out, Jen out, get Sparks out, he's useless. There's no room for moaners and groaners. There's very little room for happy clappers as well, because we've got to acknowledge the situation that we're in, and it's the start of the season, but it hasn't been a very good start to the season. You know, Crawley was a terrible performance, terrible result. Accrington just got over the line because we had a better squad, so we won the penalties. Colchester, I mean, we are seeing gradual improvement, which is good, and I do think what Hugh said has some truth in it, but we can't just press the panic button. We can't just, panic. It's just the start of the season. Obviously, some player performances has not been up to the level, but we need to try and evade any moaning and groaning at Valley Parade on Saturday. It's the first game of the season at home, and we've got to finish how we left off at home last season. The reason why we had such a good home record towards the back end, and to give you that, we only lost 2 at home at the back end of the last season in 2023. And we are unbeaten in 8 home games. We only did that because, I hate this saying, but we were the 12th man. The last few seasons, since probably 2016, 2017, we keep hearing the club coming out and the players coming out saying we are the 12th man. Well, last season was the first time we showed it, but it was the first time that the club and the players have actually showed any connection to the club and put any effort into the games that were going on and give us something to believe in. So, with that combined, we were unstoppable at home. With those last 8 games going unbeaten. So hopefully we can get back to that and try and get back to those performance levels and try and get away from the last 2 games, not only the players but the fans as well. It goes both ways, and hopefully we can get a big win on Saturday against a team that are tipped to come around mid-table. I'd say they're in a bit of progression under Ben Garner. They had a game last night against Cardiff, drew 2-2, lost on penalties. There's some poor penalties from Colchester. Ben Garner actually came out and said that due to training in midweek to focus on penalties, they focused on the performance and getting the team ready for the game, which for me is no excuse, because they didn't play last Saturday because of a waterlogged pitch, and they've had about a week or 2 to prepare for that games and to take penalties and prepare for that. So for me, that shows what there was set up. When you were at Charlton and Swindon, they were quite heavy possession-based football. I don't think we'll get that on Saturday. We didn't see that against Cardiff for them. And what we did see against Cardiff, which is all I've really got to go off, was they were very poor in midfield. They were all open. They didn't seem to have a defensive midfielder, so that means the back three were exposed. And they were quite easy to get at defensively, but they did show character to come back, and I was very impressed with that. The key players from the game and from the season coming into it, Junior Chimayadu, I think he got League 2 Young Player of the Season last year. He's been linked to a move to Stoke and various other clubs across the AFL, and he'll be a very key player if they can keep him this season. They've also got some other good youth players coming through. Last season they were a bit... They've always been known for having a lot of good young players coming through the last few years as Colchester, but last season or last 2 seasons they've had way too many veteran players across the AFL, and they were too sluggish, and that's why they had a poor year. So they've sort of gone to balance that out a bit. They've also got Chilvers, he's a tidy player in the final third, and then an exciting player from the game against Cardiff. I mean, he had those Cardiff defenders on toast, and that man was Jaden Fevrier, really talented player. Like I say, he had those Cardiff defenders, spinning around them, doing some really good cuts inside, and then drilled it across for a couple of their goals on the night. And I thought he was a really exciting player. I think he plays as a right wing back, but he's a right winger, and he's the probably type of wing back that we need. But really impressive performance from him. Then into past and presents, Theo Robinson had a loan spell at Colchester. I mean, who hasn't Theo Robinson played for? And then to 2 players who I would consider one of the better players over the last 10 years for us. Kyle Reid had a spell line 17-18. Obviously, didn't have a lot of... He wasn't very clinical over his spells throughout his tenures in the clubs. but he's played for very tricky, very skillful winger, and obviously played a big part into our cup run in 2012-13. And then Ben Williams as well, who for me is one of the best keepers we've had in the last few seasons. Don't really get talked about because only had one real season where he was the number one, which were 15-16, made some big saves, and he was at Colchester for 3 years between 2009 and 2012 as well. Over to the head-to-heads then. Not the best record against Colchester over our time playing them, but not the worst either. 40 games played, 10 wins, 14 draws and 16 defeats. The last 5 results being a 2-0 win for us on the 4th of March 2023, a 1-0 defeat, a 3-0 defeat, that was the 18th of April 2022. I believe that was when we played all our rubbish players who were playing for a contract that didn't do anything to show they should have kept the contract. Fraukel and Lavery were all playing in that one. Really poor performance if I remember rightly. A 0-0 draw and a 2-1 win, so that's 2 wins and I lost 5 against them, 2 defeats and a draw. So like I say, not the worst record against them, but not the best either. On to the starting lineup then. Would you keep the 3 at the back? Would you change back to the 4? It's definitely a debate that's ongoing in the fan base, and it's definitely a tough one to choose as well, because you want to stick with the 3 at the back because it's what we've been working on. If you just change, then it just shows weakness to change after what you've been building towards over pre-season. It shows that there's been no progression, there's no outcome, and for me that would be poor from Hughes. But then if you don't change it, it's stubborn, and you need to act fast before it gets out of control the season. I would give it to the end of the month. So my starting lineup would be Harry Lewis in goal. Still think he's a key player for us, made some big saves, and obviously that penalty save that seemed to go viral. What a terrible miss from the Accrington Stanley player, and then he managed to scramble it across his goal line and claw the ball out of the back of the net. Halliday in right wing back, close one, could have gone with Oyugoki. I think he'll be back for this game against Colchester. More of an attacking wing back is Oyugoki. But for me, Halliday hasn't done out wrong, and I think he's getting a lot of criticism because of the left wing back that is Liam Rideout. They're getting put in the same category, which I think is really unfair. I think Halliday's a very solid player going forward and defensively, while Liam Rideout's a very poor player going forward and defensively. So I think Halliday's a lot better than Rideout, but because they're on the same wavelength, they're both perceived as players who aren't very good going forward, he's getting marked down because of how poor Rideout's been. So I would stick with Halliday. Platt as the right centre-back, obviously a steady Eddie. I think he definitely deserves to keep his spot in the team after the Tuesday night win. Odesina and Stubbs come into the back line. Now, Stubbs did play against Accrington, didn't start the season against Crawley because of a knock. So, he might keep Kelly in the team. He might go to a back 3, to try and ease Stubbs back in. But I don't think it was too bad of an injury, so I would expect him to be starting on Saturday. And then Odesina's got to come into a back 3. I'm not really impressed with what I've seen from Kelly. I just think he's okay. I remember Bohemian saying, he ain't that good, that they want a massive fan of him. And then what I've seen of him so far, I don't think he's at the level that we are. I just think he's a mid-table League 2 centre-back, whereas Odesina is someone we desperately need in that back 3, in my opinion, because when you look at it, there's a real lack of pace. And I don't need to tell you. You can see it for yourself. We're getting caught out every game with it, and if we all can see it as fans, then why can't Mark Hughes? I can only put it down to an attitude problem, to why Odesina's never had a run in the team during his time. He, like I say on last week, 4 League 2 games in his spell at Bradford, which is nowhere near good enough for a player that should be influential to this formation, considering that he was Hartlepool's star player playing in a back 3. Odd Ryan left wing back, but I put him there because I think at home you can't be playing Gilead in the left wing back, and then Liam Rideout, like I said, I refused to pick him. So I think you play Odra as a left wing back, but he's playing as a left winger. I don't want him to be defending, and that's why I picked Smallwood and Deast in midfield, because I think he can cover that side for Odra. You see a lot of teams now playing with an inverted wing back. I don't know why we can't, when we've got, would be the most attacking wing back in the league by a mile in Odra, and it's unfair for him to lose his place, having a very good start to a season, one of our best players, if not the best player. So I would try and keep him in the team, push him up the pitch and play him as a winger instead of a left wing back, push East to that side, and then Smallwood can cover for East as well. 2 more defensively minded midfielders out of the other lot we've got to pick from. Walker as well keeps his place in the team. I think he's had a very solid start to the season as well. And then I would go Cook and Smith up top. I think Smith's obviously struggled to get a start in the team because of an injury before pre-season, before the start of the season in pre-season. And then he came in off the bench against Accrington, so hopefully he can get one of games along with Cook and try and build a partnership up front there. But I won't be against playing Odran Walker behind Andy Cook. I think that's worked really well with Patterson and Smallwood there starting to form something in midfield. So let me know your thoughts going into a game in the comments down below. Let me know your score predictions. It's going to be a tough game. They're going to form some challenges for us, Colchester. But I think it should be, again, a game that we should be looking at getting 3 points from, especially at home. Let's get behind the team. You know, I know we haven't had the best start to the season. I know that, you know, your support is determined on what's going on in the pitch in front of your eyes. But what got us the wins last season, what got us over the line, was our support from the stands. If the player made a mistake, we didn't, you know, moan and groan about it. We got behind them and we supported them. And that's why we nearly got promotion last season. And let's hope that we can have a successful season this season. The season starts now at Valley Parade, and let's get behind them. Let's get 3 points. Come on, City.